right, sometimes you come across a person who is actually living the dream, originally from the Lower East Side of Manhattan, living abroad for a few years in some undisclosed location. He returned to New York 20 years ago to have his hands in hotels, off-Broadway shows, and anything that tickled his fancy. Joining me is Mr. Joe Sakala. How are you, sir?
Absolutely fantastic today, Matt. Happy to be here, and I appreciate everything.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So, I mean, you have done it all. So kind of take me back to where you started and how you got into where you are now. I know you were in the service, so tell me a little bit about that too.
I was in the Marine Corps for 5 years, from 67 to 72, and still together with a lot of my Marine Corps buddies from those days. We keep in touch with each other every single year. Coming out of the Corps, I started working for Ross Perot, and he hired us. He was hiring a lot of Marine Corps officers, got a broker's license. From there, went into the garment business. I'm giving you a very brief overview here.
I love it.
I mean, from there, wound up in Hong Kong, and that was the key to it. Gloria Vanderbilt was the big success story of our era at that time in the late 70s, early 80s. Hong Kong was the last bastion of capitalism in those days. Everybody was making money and bringing it back and doing well, and got very lucky in my life as a kid coming out of an old Catholic high school and wonderful parents. I got very lucky in life.
Now tell me about the off-Broadway shows you're involved in, because that's a very unique area to get involved, and I know that you've done some acting and everything. So where did your kind of passion and how did you get started in off-Broadway shows?
One of the young gentlemen, Mark Fashani, who went to prep school with my son, my oldest son Joseph, was putting on a show about 20 years ago in New York, Geography of a Horse Dreamer by Sam Shepard. Needed a little funds, needed a little help producing it, and I put up the money for it. I became very close to the kids, and they created a production company called Push Productions. I became executive vice president, executive producer of the company, and for 20 years we've done about 10, 12 shows off Broadway and a couple of movies as well. From there comes the big one, where, and again, can I go on about this?
Keep going,
this is great.
Going.
The big one was Cagney.
Yeah, which we're looking at right now.
Well, that's wonderful, because what happened is that Ricky Larimer, who's, believe it or not, off the charts, came to me through a friend and sat down in my office and started to tell me about Cagney. Now, she did not know that my youth was totally devoured by James Cagney. I used to imitate him on the streets of New York for nickels and dimes on 10th Street and Avenue A. My office has his spurs, his cufflinks, his opera glasses, his playbills that he attended with his wife, pictures, his canceled check from Warner Brothers is in my office. Anyway, made the investment, and now it is a major. Cagney is literally a major acclaimed off-Broadway hit.
So get into the business side of that. What do you do on the back end of it? Is it just setting it up and letting it run, or what do you kind of do on the back end of those shows?
I would never, in all the shows that I've done, I don't even look at the scripts. I wasn't even concerned. Well, Cagney was no concern whatsoever. The minute I heard the term Cagney, that was easy. In fact, just to add to that is that we're coming out with our CD on November 3rd at the Barnes & Noble in New York. But as far as the other shows off Broadway, it came down to kids needing. The artists out there today just don't have the funds or the small funds. They weren't major investments, and I knew I wasn't going to make any money off of it. Right. But it was giving the artists out there, the writers, the actors, and the directors a chance to put out what they've done and give them a venue to produce it and put it out there.
So you've got the show going with Cagney, which is a live off-Broadway show. You got the CD
amazing.
coming out. But tell me about this project you've got going on. That's now on Netflix, right?
Yes, it's on Netflix now, Greenwich Village. Well, Laura Archibald wrote a book called The Cats of Grand Central, the Cats of Grand Central Station, probably about 12, 15 years ago, and she was staying at my hotel in New York. We hit it off. She was there with her sister and her sister-in-law or whatever, and I talked to all my guests all the time in my property. And years later, she was putting this together, and she needed funding. So again, it came back to my time as a child of Greenwich Village. I remember one time in Greenwich Village, I went to a Beach Boys concert at Fordham University, dressed in a Madras jacket and fringed jeans, and the next night with a denim jacket, with a t-shirt, my hair all different, hanging out in Greenwich Village. So when she came to me about this project, it was an easy thing for me to put up the money for it. It really was. Okay,
so that's all the fun stuff. Now you get to enjoy yourself a little bit every year. You take some time, you come down to Miami. Tell me about where you stay and what you do, because it's so fascinating.
Well, I want to tell you about my hotel in New York in a minute, but the Lowe's Hotel is a dream come true for me. I started staying there 15 years ago, and I remember I got into, I had a room there, it was a little small, I needed a little bigger, met some people, they set me up. I've been in the same suite for 15 years and enjoying every minute of it. The people there, Alex Tonarelli, who is the managing director, Miriam Ribeiro in the executive office, the whole staff at the hotel, Joe Beha, all of them are absolutely tremendous people. And I enjoy coming down. I come down twice a year for 17, 18 days every spring and every fall. Bring my family down in the spring.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
You are living the dream, my friend. We'll get into your hotel when we talk a little later, but all these projects, we're going to have links to all these on our website so everybody out there can check it out. StudioDtelevision.com. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated, Matt.
What a fascinating guy, right?
So
much
cool.
fun. All
He
right.
is a lot of fun.
All right. Well, we have more coming up. Get ready to get racing with this week's latest in the world of NASCAR on Shakedown Zone. Plus, a Cubs fan finally gets his shining moment. All that and much more right here on Studio D.
Right,